You listen to the Extra Point here on WEGL 91.1 FM, online at WEGLFM.com, on the Stream In app, and guess what? It is now on Eagle Eye TV, Channel 6, or online at EagleEyeAuburn.com. You can watch the Extra Point from now on, Tuesdays at noon, over on Eagle Eye Auburn.
And on YouTube. You can watch it anytime on YouTube.
Anytime, any place, you can find the Extra Point, Weagle, Eagle Eye. Heck, open it up on your phone. Do what you got to do. You're listening to us in any kind of media, and it's great, Brooks. See, now you can't hide from us. We're just everywhere now.
We're everywhere.
We're everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Well, with that being said, you know who's not everywhere and nowhere at the same time?
Wait. I know the answer. Johnny Manziel.
That too. He's at a bar somewhere. But the Big Ten. The Big Ten is in a lot of trouble right now in the college football playoffs, mostly because Penn State, Ohio State, they could not keep up with the rest of the pack, both of them losing, and that will be our first topic for today. So, Brooks, let's transition to that. Penn State, Ohio State didn't have great weekends. Penn State losing a tough one. Ohio State got ran out the literal building. But Penn State lost a tough one to Michigan State. One they shouldn't have lost. People say, it was because of the weather delay. It was because of this, because of that. Doesn't matter. Both of those teams who were prime examples of being Big Ten, caliber schools now have 2 losses. Penn State lost 2 in a row. So what does this mean for the Big 12? I'm sorry, Big Ten.
I think
the Big 12 is another story.
It may have sealed the Big Ten. I mean, it's not necessarily, but it may have sealed the Big Ten's fate that they will not be included in this playoff because they were already not they had no teams in the top 4. Even with Ohio State winning, beating Penn State last week, it was still they had no one in the top 4 because the top 4 this past week was Georgia, Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson. So they had Ohio State looking in. And so Ohio State now with 2 losses, Penn State now with 2 losses. That is not necessarily a death sentence to the Big Ten because they've still got Wisconsin, who's still undefeated. But
no, stop that.
I mean, listen,
stop that.
It's still.
You know what I think about Wisconsin.
I know what you think about Wisconsin, but it's still a Power 5 school with an undefeated record, so they still have a chance to get in. Now, if they lose one game, I think with Wisconsin, we've gone back and forth. I think they don't have the best of resumes, but it's still a decent resume. But if they lose one game with that resume, I think the playoff committee looks at the Big Ten and says, you don't have anyone that's good enough. Goodbye. We're going to put everyone else in, and you're going to be the conference left out this year.
I mean, I think there's a possibility that multiple conferences get left out this year, especially when you look at, the SEC may have 2 schools, and then you have Notre Dame. If the SEC has 2 schools and Notre Dame's in there, we're talking one other conference. 2 of the 5 power conferences get in, and that's it. And what does that say?
It says that once you get into conference play, you've got to up your game. And you've got to play almost perfect to get into the playoffs. You can't have 2 losses if that's the scenario. Who knows? Notre Dame could lose coming down the stretch here. They could lose a game. Who'd they play this past weekend? Wake Forest?
Wake Forest.
They didn't look that great against Wake Forest.
Wake Forest is a good ACC team, though.
They're a decent ACC team. I'm not going to say they're an elite.
They're not elite, but they're good.
But if you're a top 4 team against a Wake Forest,
you should win handily.
Yeah, you should win more than they did Saturday. But if Notre Dame continues to play and stay undefeated, they're in. Georgia and Alabama, they will, if they remain undefeated, they will meet in the SEC championship game because Georgia's already clinched the East this past weekend. And so that'll be one team with 1 loss. So that way, then the playoff committee will look at that and say, now, maybe we can put them in, maybe not. It just depends on everyone else. I think there's a good chance that even if whoever loses in the Big Ten, the SEC championship game gets back in, because you're looking, because they could be 1 and 2 It could be 1-2 in the SEC championship game, and then they look at it and they're like, okay, you lost on a neutral ground to the number 1 or number 2 team in the nation, and now they only have one loss, and it was in the championship game. So you went through your whole conference schedule, and you didn't lose till the championship game. So both of them could get in. Clemson, like they're in the top 4, they could still get in. Oklahoma, if they keep winning, they could still get in. There's so many teams right now. TCU, if TCU keeps winning, they could still get in. Miami. Pac-12 still has Washington right there. If Washington loses one more game, they're probably out, but Washington's still a factor.
Factor. I'm saying that with quotes, but factor. Pac-12's done.
Not necessarily.
USC was their chance, and that's it.
Washington still has a chance to get it. Like, they're not completely done. There's still the opportunity for Washington to get in there. It's not likely. It's not as likely as the SEC getting 2 teams in, which, when they started, they were saying, hey, we don't want multiple teams from the same conference in there, but it's the best 4. Whoever the best 4 are, that's who we're going to take. We would prefer not to be the same conference, but,
Speaking of, top profile games, there was one that was a literal shootout for a long time. It is Bedlam, Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. 62-52, Oklahoma walked out with the victory. Baker Mayfield, 598 yards, 5 touchdowns.
Defense, anyone?
Defense was not even a factor. You know what? At this point, why do Big 12 teams bring their defenses on games? Why do you have a defensive unit?
They should just go.
Just to put 11 guys out in the field?
I guess so. You got to have 11 guys out there, so they trot out they must trot out their like backup offensive guys.
Like Mason Rudolph, 448 yards and 5 touchdowns. Anderson for Oklahoma had 111 yards. Hill for Oklahoma State, 128. There's no such thing as offense, especially when combined you're giving up 1,300 yards. And that's counting in 5 turnovers that both teams, not both teams have 5 turnovers, but 5 turnovers in total. Now, that being said, it's not like Bedlam wasn't fun to watch, because it was.
But you see, it's fun to watch, but when you watch it, you're not enjoying it. You get bored easily because you're like, oh, look, they're scoring in. What is, like, the optimal game is not, it's not a Big 12 game, because who wants to watch offense all day long? You want, you always say defense wins championships.
It does.
And no matter how great offense is, no matter how much you love offense, it gets boring. Because you're like, make a stop. Someone get a stop. And then you go to the opposite of that. Any Big Ten game, the scores are like 17-10. And you're like, oh my gosh, someone score. So like the happy medium, I think, right there is any SEC game or ACC game when it's like 35-28, where it's just enough offense, but then you got big defensive stops.
And finally, moving on before our first break of the hour, it's the 4 and Out segment. We give our top 4 teams and the 2 looking in college football. Brooks, you want me to go first?
As always, yes, please.
As always, I'm going to have Alabama at number 1. I know that in the college football rankings that, Alabama was number 2. I think with the win against LSU, a top 20 team, that it's technically not enough to jump Georgia, because they still have that nice win over Notre Dame. But I do like the way Alabama plays. Georgia played a tough South Carolina team. Don't take anything away from South Carolina, but Georgia should have been more dominant in that game. 10 points. Hey, that's really good. Offense, I would have liked to see them score in the 30s. I think Alabama is the better team than Georgia, because Georgia has been put into that predicament of what's going to happen when Fromm has to throw with the game, in jeopardy. He can always throw the ball when they're up by so many scores, but when he's coming from behind or the game's tight, can he do it? Yeah, he did on the road against Notre Dame, but I want to see him do it consistently. I want to see him be, challenged. That all being said, Georgia is a solid number 2, and nobody can take Georgia from that spot. Notre Dame didn't have the best game, but I have to keep it at number 3. I think they are the third best team, no matter who you have behind them in Clemson or Oklahoma or Wisconsin. And then for the fourth team, I would put Oklahoma if they had a better defensive showing, but I'm going to go Clemson because they have the offense. I know they do. That offense is going to show up eventually, and on top of that, they have a defense. So if Clemson were to take on Oklahoma, I know Clemson can win because their defense is going to step up for that game. For Oklahoma, I can't say the same thing. After that, after we get to number 5, I'm gonna give that spot to Oklahoma. They had a really good game against Oklahoma State. They need to show up the defense if they want to get to that top 4, but they're a pretty good team. When you can put 62 points, it takes a really good team to top you from there, and not many teams can go toe-to-toe with Oklahoma on the offensive side. So they have that going for them. And finally, at number 6, give me one of the undefeateds, but it's not Wisconsin.
Wow.
It's Miami. I'm going to take Miami. What do you mean, wow? Are you
that's
kidding me?
a big jump.
No, Miami's right behind Wisconsin in the AP poll.
I mean, like, you jumped them over TCU.
TCU's a one-loss team.
Yeah.
Who lost to Iowa State? A 3-loss team. Miami's undefeated. Wisconsin hasn't played nobody. It makes sense. At least Miami beat a top 15 Virginia Tech team.
But you've got Oklahoma at 5, and they've got 1 loss, and they are a loss to Iowa State.
But Oklahoma has beaten teams that are worth anything. That's the difference. Oklahoma beat a top 15 Oklahoma State. Oklahoma beat a top 15 Ohio State. Wisconsin hasn't beaten anybody. All they've done is great cheese all day.
I'm not arguing.
TCU lost to a 3-loss Iowa State. I mean, Oklahoma did as well, but Oklahoma has beaten people. That's your difference. Yeah, it's important who you lost to, but it's also important who you beat. And Oklahoma has beaten 2 really good teams in Ohio State and Oklahoma State, and Miami just beat a top 15 Virginia Tech team.
Okay.
There you go. And look, it doesn't matter where Miami's at right now because they got to play Notre Dame this week.
That'll be a great game.
So it's going to be a great game. And look, that's going to shake itself out. But yes, if you're asking me straight up, Miami or Wisconsin, give me Miami because guess what? How about you play somebody?
I mean, I don't care about, wasn't asking about Wisconsin.
I'm just saying for the Wisconsin people were asking, why are we not getting respect? Well, I'm saying it. The committee said it.
I gave you respect.
You got to play somebody.
You
can't walk around and beat up on Purdue or walk around and be in a little battle with Indiana till the fourth quarter or think, oh, we can beat Northwestern and think, yeah, we're a top 4 team. No. Go beat somebody that's worth something. How about, do that?
Indiana's not a bad team, though.
But they're what? Indiana's 3-6. Don't give me that they're not a bad team thing.
Their record is...
Their record is 3-6.
Their record, yes, it is 3-6, but it is a misleading 3-6. They're a better team than their record says.
They're not better than 500.
They're a better team than their record
because
says.
if they're a better team than what the record says, their record would show it. It's one thing like, for example, Auburn is technically a better team than the record said because they should have beat LSU. Indiana lost 6 games mostly because they don't have the talent to win those 6 games. But Indiana's not a team I would be afraid of. Indiana's a team Wisconsin should have beat handedly, and for 3 quarters they could not. Because Wisconsin, whether you like it or not, is not going to be a top 4 team until they beat somebody.
I think if they stay undefeated and they will be a top 4 team.
They need to beat somebody.
No.
To stay undefeated, that means you won the Big 12 championship, which means you beat somebody. Whatever conference they're in. It doesn't matter. If they were in the Big 10, they would have lost. If they were in the Big 10, they'd be a 500 team. That's what I feel like.
Wait. What?
If they were in the Big if they were in the Big 12,
okay,
they would be a 500 team.
I was about to say they are in the Big 10.
They're not in the good part of the Big 10.
All right. Would you like mine?
Yeah.
Top
go for it.
All right. Last week, I had Alabama number 1. And I had Georgia 2. I'm still going to keep Alabama number 1. But.
Don't you do
Well, you see, it's going to be interesting going down the stretch here because of some of the things that happened in that game Saturday night, Alabama versus LSU, when they got a few linebackers hurt. One of them's out for the year. It's going to be interesting to see how their defense bounces back. I mean, we always say this after someone gets injured, like, oh no, how are they going to bounce back? Are they going to be able to bounce back? And then they do. But I think it's, we have to say it like, how are they going to bounce back after this? So I'm going to keep Alabama number 1. I'm going to keep Georgia number 2. I didn't like how they looked against South Carolina, who, if you're Georgia, if you're a dominant enough team, you should still beat South Carolina pretty handily. I didn't like how they looked against South Carolina. Number 3. Who did I have at number 3 last week? It wasn't Notre Dame.
Probably somebody who didn't deserve to be there.
It was, it was Ohio State. I had Ohio State there. So that's not a thing anymore. So I think. And then I had Wisconsin number 4. So my top 4, Wisconsin was number 5. This is a great segment. All right, so same top 2, Alabama, Georgia. Number 3, I'm going to go Clemson. I think Clemson's a solid number 3. I think they got one of the best defenses in the nation. At number 6, I'm going to go TCU. I like TCU. I think they've got a good offense. I think their defense is good enough to get them through the rest of the year into that Big 12 championship game. At number 4.
Wait, did you just jump number 5?
Well, they're 4 and 5 right there together. I'm going to put...
Wait, what? This is 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
4 and 5 are right there. I'm going to put Oklahoma number 4. And I'm going to put Notre Dame at number 5. Oklahoma, they do have one loss, but I think that Baker Mayfield and the Oklahoma offense...
I'm just glad Wisconsin's out there.
Wisconsin's at... where do I have them? 7th. I think Wisconsin's 7th.
Well, they fell from 5th to 7th, so I'm okay with that.
I didn't like how they performed against... Indiana is a better team than their record shows, but I still didn't like how they performed against them most of the game. But, back to my earlier point, I think Oklahoma is not... I think Notre Dame's a more well-rounded team, but I think Oklahoma's offense is able to perform well enough to keep them in games, and their defense doesn't have to pick up the slack for what offense, lacks. And so that's my top 4.
Well, there's not much. If you had Wisconsin up in there, I was going to have an actual problem with that. We can't have that. Wisconsin, just a thing for Wisconsin people. Look, tell your team to schedule better opponents. That's it.
Wisconsin, I heard this on a show the other day. Wisconsin is kind of becoming the new Iowa. Because, Iowa there for a few years was like, hey, we're undefeated. Put us into the playoff. And they got to the, They got to the Rose Bowl against Stanford. And they got their face pushed in. Which would happen if Wisconsin started taking on Alabama, Georgia, Notre Dame, Clemson. It would happen with any of those teams. They would get their face pushed in, and somebody's got to have files charged against them because that's not fair. But I've still got Wisconsin at 7, so I've still got them as a good chance to get into that top 4. It's just not as good as the others I put in there.
Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're done with college football. We're going to go on to the NBA. James Harden, Porzingis both had really big games last night. On top of that, the Cavs, they still ain't looking good. And Eric Bledsoe, he got fined, excuse me. He ain't suspended because he ain't on the team right now. All that and more after this commercial break. 60 seconds until we're back. You listen to the Xtra Point here on WEGL 91.1 FM, online at WEGLFM.com, or on Eagle Eye TV Channel 6, or at EagleEyeAuburn.com.
And on YouTube.
This is a place where it only takes a second. to imagine your future. Grasp a new concept in class. Inspire a child's curiosity. Discover a real-world solution. Seize an unexpected opportunity.
There goes Davis!
This is where you gain the preparation, confidence, and determination to succeed. This is Auburn.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
And welcome back to the Extra Point here on WEGL 91.1 FM, online at WEGLFM.com or on the Eagle Eye family of networks on Eagle Eye TV Channel 6 or EagleEyeAuburn.com. I should start using that more often, the Eagle Eye family of networks.
The Eagle Eye News Network. That's, oh my gosh, I think we just came up with something new.
I think
the
we
Eagle
did.
Eye News
Hey,
Network.
Go get the copyright on that.
I'm gonna text the copyright office right now.
There we go. Starting with the NBA. In the 8 to 10 minutes or so that we have to talk about the NBA, we have
That's just enough time.
We have a lot to pack into the show in 1 hour. We may have to talk to somebody about expanding it to 2 hours, Brooks.
That'd be scary, because especially like a day like today when I have stuff to edit after this.
Hey, you'll be okay. So, the big news in NBA. So let's start with James Harden. James Harden dropped a cool 56 points, a career high for him, as the Rockets beat the Jazz 137-110. Fun fact, he is the first player since Michael Jordan to score at least 55 points or 25 or fewer field goals and shoot at least 75% in a 50-point game.
You know what that means?
What does that mean for the beard?
James Harden's better than LeBron.
Well,
Hot take.
That is a great segue into the next point. Hey, the Cavs, they aren't playing good right now. And Dwayne Wade was the first to sound off on it.
Bye-bye, Bron.
So the Cavs went and played the Hawks, so lost 117-115. And guess what? The Hawks have the worst record in the East. And the Cavs ain't doing too much better. All right. And so this is what Dwayne Wade had to say after the game. He said, "It's no secret we're starting games off awful, terrible, and Atlanta got it going early, and the effort or the focus just wasn't there to start it off. And you try to battle back. You waste a lot of energy trying to come back from 16-18 down, and it's tough nightly to do this. And we all know this. It's no secret in this locker room. But our first unit, we got to start off better." Dwayne Wade's saying, well, a lot of people are saying, the Cavs can't start slow. You can't. Because if you start slow against the Hawks and you have a tough time coming back, imagine starting slow against the Warriors. That's a sweep right there, son.
Almost like last year.
Almost like last year.
They avoided that sweep last year, but
But what do you make of the Cavs? Is this just early season woes, or is this something, or is this an actual problem they need to start worrying about? Like, for instance, like they're worried about it, but is it something that's just going to work itself out, especially when Isaiah Thomas eventually does come back?
I mean, I said this last week. I think it is part of it is that it's a lot of new players and everyone's trying to work with each other, trying to play with each other, trying to learn each other's game. But I think there's something else there, because this is a good team on paper. You look at it, it's a good team on paper. And for some reason, they're not getting the job done on the court. When the game comes around, they're not getting the job done. So I think there is, even we're just getting in November. I think by the time you get to December and get into around the Christmas games, that's when they are going to start playing Cavs basketball like we've seen the past few years and start beating people. I just think it's taking a little bit of time to get gelled, get everyone used to everyone else's playing style. But if they don't, I think if for some reason there's something else there, some hidden problem that we don't know about that's causing this type of result on the court, if it continues, I think LeBron is looking at real estate in the Los Angeles area or in any other area.
He's just gonna jet and cheese it and get out of there
because we don't even know if he's going to L.A. because everyone's he's going to L.A. He's definitely going to L.A. The last time he moved, you know what?
What?
No one knew he was going to Miami until he announced it.
I mean, I don't know. We kind of deep down inside we knew.
But no one was.
We heard the murmurs from Miami. We knew D-Wade was down there. There was a talk of the big three with Bosh and all that. We kind of knew.
But we didn't know. We didn't know he was going to Miami. We were like, oh my gosh, he's going to Miami. It's going to be the big three. And so it's kind of weird that it's a year out and everyone's like, oh, he's going to L.A. He's definitely going to L.A.
But then, at the end of the year, if he does go to L.A., guess what? We kind of saw it coming because we're talking about it right now.
I mean, yeah, but so is everyone else.
You want to guess who's leading the NBA in scoring? I'm sorry. You want to guess who's second in the NBA in scoring right now?
Can I get a team or would that give it away?
It's the Eastern Conference team. That's all I'm going to give you.
Is it Kyrie?
It is not.
Is it John Wall?
It is Porzingis, also known as Porzingis,
Kristaps,
of the New York Knicks, averaging 30.2 points per game after he dropped 40 last night. And the Knicks come from behind win against the Indiana Pacers. Porzingis said he's comfortable being the number one option. And guess what? Out of the last 6 games, you know how many the Knicks have won?
6?
5.
Ooh.
Hey, that's pretty good for a Knicks team that we thought was, traded away Melo and, hey, we're just going to rebuild.
You know what that means?
What does that mean?
Porzingis is better than Steph Curry.
You really want people to...
I'm just firing out the hot takes today.
All right, whatever you say. As long as they don't come after me, I'm fine with that.
They'll come after you because you let it on the air.
Lastly, Eric Bledsoe fined $10,000. And you want to know why? Simply because he said, I don't want to be here. He said it through a tweet. He said, quote, I just don't want to be in Phoenix anymore. And the NBA fined him $10,000.
I mean,
that's more money than what people get fined in the NFL for some bad hits, isn't it?
That's a little bit. How much did you say it was?
$10,000.
Yeah, that's around that.
Some NFL fines are like $8,000.
Yeah. But didn't Paul George kind of say the same thing last year when he was like, I don't want to play in Indiana anymore, but he didn't say it straight up.
I mean,
plus,
I didn't think the NBA was going to fine him.
He didn't say the tweet was, I don't want to be here anymore, but he never mentioned Phoenix, did he?
No, he did not mention Phoenix.
So how could they, did they prove that he was talking about Phoenix? Or was he
considering the fact that, A, he's been put on leave from the team, B, the Suns have been pretty open about they want to trade him, and C, he said it last month, and, you have to understand your words mean a lot, no matter if you meant it or not. If he meant something else, you probably should have said it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I just, didn't he come out right after that and say he was at, a beauty shop or something?
I don't even remember. The point is, Eric Bledsoe is not having fun down in Phoenix.
I mean, who is?
The sweepstakes for Eric Bledsoe is open. I guess so.
I wouldn't call it sweepstakes.
I will donate the $5 I have in my wallet to the Dallas Mavericks to somehow get Eric Bledsoe. I'd do it.
I'll chip in a 20 to get him to L.A.
Why do you want everybody in L.A.?
I just want a super team in L.A. and then But not at the Lakers. I want them at the Clippers. I want a super Clipper team.
All right, well.
That way there can be some good Clippers.
And on that note, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we can finally talk about it. It's over. The Houston Astros are your World Series champions, getting a big win over the Dodgers. We'll talk about that.
Oh, go ahead.
Don't cut me off. How
I'm
dare
sorry. You cut me off all the time.
No, that's because you're second chair.
Excuse me.
We're going to talk about that World Series Game 7 and more. Up next on the Extra Point here on WEGL 91.1 FM or online at WEGLFM.com.
Hashtag earned history.
If you don't fix them, sparks from dragging tow chains could cause a wildfire, and that could be scary. Only you can prevent wildfires.
See on page 4 that the projections need to be tornado next Thursday.
Seriously? Thursday? Can't do that.
This is really inconvenient.
I have yoga that day. I have no time for this. So.
I can't do Thursday, but I can do Friday.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
One half down, another half to go. You're listening to the Extra Point here on the Weagle family of networks and also the Eagle Eye TV family of networks, Weagle FM, online at WeagleFM.com, WEGL 91.1 FM, EagleEyeAuburn.com, or on campus cable at Eagle Eye TV Channel 6. That's a lot to say.
That's a lot to say now. Maybe we should just stop and just do a TV show and not have to worry about Weagle anymore. We've gotten too big for this.
We've gotten too
studio.
big. Hey, up next for us, the White House.
Sure, why not?
Why not?
Can we do a show from inside of there?
I'm sure we can.
We can do like a fireside chat like Roosevelt used to do, but for sports.
There you go. See, look, already starting our campaign 2020.
What can it be called? It could be like it has to be presidential something.
Well, I would be the president. It'll be Dillard Childress.
It'd be the presidential penalty box.
All right,
that's a great name.
We should probably stop now.
I'm going to copyright that too. Let me get on the phone.
While he's on the phone, also while you're on the phone, I want you to call up somebody. I want you to call up the GM and the skipper for the Dodgers and ask them a simple question: why in the world did you start Yu Darvish in Game 7?
I'll just call Magic. He'll probably give me an answer.
Why, Brooks? Why did the Dodgers start Yu Darvish in Game 7? Like I understand. He's one of your better pitchers. I understand that. But he got shelled in Game 3. And lo and behold, guess what? You know that saying that history can repeat itself if you let it? They let it happen. He got shelled in Game 7. And Dodgers fans were not too happy about that. They knew better. They knew. The deep down inside, they knew. This isn't going to end well for us. On top of that, you lost it at home. Like, you lost Game 7 on your home field. Brooks, run us through Game 7 of the World Series.
I mean, I think I didn't like the decision, but I think it was they probably thought it was the right decision to start Darvish.
It doesn't matter if they thought it was the right decision. When you saw what happened in Game 3, and you saw his mannerisms, Brooks, I played baseball for 1 year, and even I could see when he was warming up, something wasn't right.
But like, when you are a pitcher, how often have you seen games where a pitcher will get shelled one game, and then the next game they'll come back and they'll be great? Maybe sometimes they won't be great, but they won't get shelled like they did. It doesn't happen that often. It
doesn't happen
that you get shelled 2 games in 2 starts in a row.
But this is the World Series. Pitching etiquette goes out the window. It doesn't matter if you pitched last night. It doesn't matter that you got shelled in Game 3. What does matter is that you put your best guys out there at that time, and Yu Darvish was not one of them.
But who could the Dodgers have called on instead?
Apparently, Clayton Kershaw was fine for 4 innings because he pitched one of the better, stretches of the World Series right there. Clayton Kershaw was fine.
So
they should have started Rich Hill, is my opinion. You don't start Yu Darvish, you start Rich Hill.
That would have been probably a better option.
That would have been the better option. Here's the thing.
In hindsight.
It is Game 7. No, it is Game 7, okay? It doesn't matter who went Game 6 because you don't have to save any. There's no other game after this. You don't have to save your bullpen. You don't have to save your starters. You have to look your guy in the eye. You look Kershaw in the eye, and you say, I need you for X amount of innings. And he's going to go get you it. He did it. He got them 4 innings. You look Rich Hill in the eye and said, I need you to start. I need you to get through 2 innings, 3 innings. Remember, if Rich Hill starts the game, he doesn't have to go 7 to 8 innings. He needs to get through 2 or 3. It is Game 7. He only needs to get through a couple innings. Okay? It is a team effort. Rich Hill goes 3. Kershaw goes 4. Guess what? You're through 7 innings. You got Jansen. You have a good bullpen. You can do it. There was no reason to start Yu Darvish in that game. And the Dodgers fans have a right to be upset. And honestly, it is a shame that the Dodgers got this far only to be beaten by what I think is poor managing.
I wouldn't call it poor managing because
all that being said, the Astros were the better team. They played better. But that was poor managing on their part. That was poor managing on the Dodgers' part.
I think, of course, in hindsight, you're like, well, they shouldn't have started.
I mean, in hindsight, yes. But even before the game, I was like, there's no reason why Yu Darvish should be starting.
I think at the time, I didn't dislike the decision to start Darvish. Because, again, like I said, when was the last time you remember a pitcher getting shelled one game, and then the next start they get shelled again? It doesn't happen that much.
So why would you take the chance in Game 7 of the World Series?
Because
why would you do it?
Because you made that trade early in the year to get Darvish for that situation so that you could have that pitcher.
I made that trade earlier in the season to get to the World Series. Guess what? I'm here. It's Game 7, and the last time I saw this guy, he was walking off the mound, giving up a lead, and I'm thinking to myself, when the world just happened? I'm not going to let it happen again. Oh, wait. Yes, I am. Let's put him back out there. You had Rich Hill. You had Clayton Kershaw. You had anybody else. You had a bullpen, but you put out Yu Darvish.
You see, I wouldn't have started Kershaw, though. If I was going to start anyone, it would have been Rich Hill.
Like I said, you start Rich Hill, you bring in Kershaw for a relief after 3 or 4 innings. If Rich Hill gives you 4 innings, Kershaw gives you 4 innings, which Kershaw did, you're through 8 innings, and hopefully you have a lead. And then Jansen can come in, and Jansen has at least 2 innings in him.
I like the decision.
It was a horrible decision. Looking back on it, 2020, it was a horrible decision now. Before Game 7, it was a horrible decision. Heck, in 1994, it would have been a bad decision, okay? If you would have saw what happened in Game 3.
I disagree that it was a horrible decision.
It was a horrible decision.
Pre-game.
It cost the Dodgers the World Series.
I think
the Dodgers did fine when Yu Darvish left. Nothing against Yu Darvish because he did great during the season, and he did great, mostly through the postseason. But when the game's on the line, I'm going to depend on Rich Hill and Clayton Kershaw and not the guy who got shelled in Game 3.
They made the Yu Darvish trade for situations like this, for clutch situations in the playoffs. He just didn't perform. That's all. They took their chance. I liked the decision pregame. obviously hindsight 2020, you're like, oh, you should have started Rich Hill. What are you doing? But I liked the decision pregame because that shows the manager showed faith in his pitcher that it's we're going to put you back out there.
There are other ways you can show faith in your pitcher. You don't try to make Yu Darvish feel better by putting him in Game 7, because the fact of the matter is, I'm trying to win a World Series. I don't care if it hurts your feeling that you don't play, or I don't care if it hurts your feeling that you don't start. I'm trying to get a ring for everybody. Okay, we can talk about your feelings later. We can go to family therapy later.
He was their freshest pitcher. He was the person that had the most rest. And that's what they were looking for, is someone who we've made the trade for, that we wanted for these situations. And
he may be your freshest pitcher, and that may mean something in the regular season, but when it's Game 7 in the World Series, like I said, pitching etiquette goes out the window. It doesn't matter who's fresh anymore. I need the guy who's hot. I need the guy I know I can rely on, and Yu Darvish was not it. That's the difference.
I like the decision pregame. Post-game, obviously not post-game. Obviously, post-game, everything's doubted, everything's questioned post-game. But pre-game, I liked the decision. I didn't have that much of a problem with them starting Darvish.
With that being said, the Dodgers now look to the offseason. So you don't even have to rebuild. You just have to get back there. They don't have they have a great team. Here's something interesting about the Astros. The Astros, in order from third to first, beat the highest payroll teams in Major League Baseball. Red Sox were third. Yankees were second. Dodgers were first. And the Astros, who are known for building talent, went and won the World Series. So what does that say about homegrown talent and trying to build one for the future?
I think it's not always the way to go. Sometimes, the big budgets can win it all. The Dodgers, like you said, they have the number one payroll in baseball. They got to the World Series. But careful scouting, I think there's a lot to be said for careful scouting, building through the draft, building through your minor league system, not necessarily going out and making all the big trades before the deadline to get you there. Now, they did make the Verlander deal to get them, but he wasn't that big of a factor in the World Series, but he was a pivotal part. But building through the draft, developing your talent, I think I like that way personally. I like building through the draft and developing talent more than going out and spending oodles of millions of dollars on this guy who can maybe get us there.
Well, that's enough for the World Series. That's enough for baseball until what, April? That's when we go back to baseball?
That's when the regular season starts, unless you want to start. We've got free agency coming up in a little while. We got spring training in February and March. Talk about someone gets hurt.
You know what's more exciting than that?
What is that?
It's NFL football.
Woo-woo.
And that's what we're going to be talking about when we come back from our break. We'll be back in 60 seconds. You'll listen to the Extra Point here on... I need something that goes along with Weagle and Eagle Eye. The Weagle Eye family of networks.
Sure, why not?
Should we coin that? We're going to talk to our bosses about that.
We're going to have so many copyrights after this show's over.
But you listen to the Extra Point here on WEGL 91.1 FM, online at WEGLFM.com, or locally on the TV at Eagle Eye TV Channel 6 or EagleEyeAuburn.com.
Fans, direct your attention to the flagpole for a special presentation.
You never really leave Auburn, because Auburn never leaves you.
So, I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
I hope that you've been able to learn a strong work ethic surrounded by character, integrity, perseverance, so that when your 1 second comes, you'll be prepared for it.
Chris Davis.
45, there goes Davis!
Your 1 second, our 1 second is now. And our lives have been guided by the principles of one of the greatest academic institutions in the country, Auburn University.
And welcome back to the Extra Point here on WEGL 91.1 FM, online at WEGLFM.com or on the Eagle Eye family of networks at Eagle Eye TV, on campus, or on EagleEyeAuburn.com. The Extra Point, Tuesdays at noon. You can watch our new shows or immediately right after, about, say, 3 o'clock locally here on Eagle Eye TV Channel 6. You can also follow us on SoundCloud at WEGL 91.1 FM. The show's immediately uploaded right after the show ends at 2 o'clock. And also, guess what? You can follow us on Twitter at the Xtra_point. My God, yes, we need something shorter than all of that.
We just need a tagline and then say, here, go to this. Or we need like something back on this back wall behind us. We need something that has the list of everything and just have it in view of the camera so that people can see it and just wait.
Like, good Lord, that is a lot to say. All right.
I want to point something out. I want to point something random out real quick.
What's up?
I'm looking on our board right in front of us. There's a Coldplay song in there. That's too mainstream for this station.
Yes. Ooh, Adventure of a Lifetime by Coldplay. I have to listen to that while we're talking for a second. But as we move on to the NFL, Brooks, the NFL looked like a lot like the MMA yesterday. There were some scuffles going on.
Listen, I don't know what it is, but we had a lot of like fighting in the NBA to start the year, and now it's kind of moved over to the NFL. Is like, what's next?
Remember
hockey? Well, hockey's always got fights.
Remember when the NFL was called the No Fun League?
Yeah.
And now this year, celebrations are out of this world. People are fighting. The NFL has become a politically divisive issue. The NFL has just become something else.
It's great. I love, well, maybe not politically divisive, but the other two are great.
If you like politics, it's great.
Well, maybe. But I love it. Like, so yesterday...
The Jaguars and Bengals got into a fight.
Yeah, A.J. Green and someone else. I don't remember who.
The 49ers and...
Cardinals
got into a fight. The Bucks and the Saints got into a fight. Jameis pushed somebody, apparently. I missed all three of those fights.
Mike Evans ran a guy over.
Is that the same play that happened?
I think. Well,
I've not seen any three of the fights.
I don't know if it was the same play or if it was related to that play. But it was Marquise something from
Marquise Lee?
No, baby. From the Saints, the defensive player at the Saints. I don't think it was Marquise Lee.
Marquise Lee, he's a wide receiver.
It was Marquise something at the Saints was like talking smack to the Buccaneer sideline, and I don't know why, because I didn't see the whole thing, but it was close. Like Mike Evans came full charge and just like plowed him into the sideline.
Well, no matter how bad his day was going,
and Mike Evans didn't get tossed.
What?
That could have hurt. Like that hit could have hurt someone, and he didn't get tossed.
We don't toss people anymore in the NFL. We don't do that. But no matter how bad his day was going, it's not going worse than the New York Football Giants. The Giants are 1-7. It ain't going well. And,
no, Eli, no.
And so Ben McAdoo was saying at a post-game press conference that, look, we may have to start getting other people who are the future of the team some reps. So Eli Manning is known for having one of the longest active starting streaks in the NFL. He's one game behind his brother Peyton. I think he's at 205 right now, off the top of my head. And people are wondering, are they really going to bench Eli Manning? Let me start with this. Eli Manning It is not the reason why the Giants are 1-7. Eli Manning, you think the Colts situation's bad. Eli Manning literally has nothing. He goes out there with his blue helmet, his blue jersey, and gray pants, and that's all they got. They took his cleats, Brooks. They took the man's cleats. He ain't got nothing. He's playing with scraps right now. All right? The defense is giving up. He has no offensive line. His running game is so-so. Eli Manning cannot win. No quarterback can win. Tom Brady cannot go to the Giants and win a football game. It is that bad. Benching Eli Manning is not the focal point. And from what I'm understanding, a lot of Giants fans don't want to bench Eli either. You know what they want to do? They want to get rid of Ben McAdoo already. How long has he been there?
2-3 years?
This is his second year?
I don't remember.
They want to get rid of McAdoo. They think he's doing a horrible job.
It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Because
So what?
I think McAdoo is, as of right now, I don't think McAdoo is a head coaching level guy. I think he's a good coordinator. I think he'd be a great. He's obviously proven he was a good offensive coordinator there. I just don't think he's got what it takes to be a head coach in the National Football League.
Like, the Rams scored 51 points. I'm looking over my laptop. I keep seeing people running into the end zone for the Rams, and I honestly don't know if it's the same clip over and over or the different touchdowns they scored.
It's probably all the different ones.
That's how bad it's going right now for the Giants. That's not good for them.
I think Eli is not the reason they're losing, but I think it is part of it. I think Eli is a good quarterback, but I think if you put, if you give an elite quarterback that offense, I think they can make something.
No. You have not seen this offense. They are bad.
That is what makes a quarterback elite, is that they can make the offense move. Andrew Luck. I'm going to pull out Andrew Luck. What has that offense done without Andrew Luck?
They've won at least 3 games.
But they've not done much.
They haven't done much.
With Andrew Luck.
However, he has weapons. As bad as the Colts are, they have T.Y. Hilton. He's a Pro Bowler. The Giants had Odell Beckham, and he's gone.
But with
what is currently in New York is nothing.
With Andrew Luck, the Colts are a playoff team.
Even without Andrew Luck, the Colts were 500.
But that's not a playoff level team, though.
In the AFC South, it is. I don't know if you've seen it lately, but it is.
But without Andrew Luck, they're not a playoff team. If you have an elite quarterback, not all your problems are solved.
No matter how you put it, the Colts may be bad, but the Colts are 19th in total offense. The Giants are 27th.
I think
that's your big problem.
Eli is part of the problem. He's not the big issue. But I don't
think Eli's part of the problem at all. The Giants, 27th in rushing game. And let's see if they're on the 22nd in the passing game.
If you have an elite quarterback, that fixes a few of your problems. Not all of them, but it fixes a few of them.
You don't even
because
need,
the elite quarterback.
You don't even need an elite quarterback. Everything is just bad there. Everything. I don't care if Tom Brady is in New York right now.
Tom Brady.
If you don't have an offensive line, it doesn't matter.
If Tom Brady was the quarterback of the Giants, they would be a playoff team.
No, they wouldn't. You know why? Because Tom Brady would be dead by the 3rd game.
No, Tom Brady has great pocket presence.
But there's no pocket. That's the problem for the Giants. They have nothing.
An elite quarterback would make the Giants a contender in the East. I'm not saying they would be a playoff team with this.
Not even
but
that.
They would be a contender in the East.
Not even that. Because there's nothing there. The Giants have nothing. They've lost everything, and the team, for the most part, has given up. They've given up. And it's sad to watch in a sense.
Again, I think an elite quarterback fixes everything. Or not every...
No.
I take that back. And not everything. I didn't mean that. An elite quarterback fixes quite a bit of what they have. Because an elite quarterback can make plays and lead a team. Eli is a great quarterback. He's not an elite quarterback. He's a great quarterback, And it may be time for the Giants to move on from Eli.
If an elite quarterback fixes a lot of problems, then what's the problem with the Falcons?
Matt Ryan's not elite.
Matt Ryan won MVP last year.
That's 1 year. You take out Matt Ryan's worst year.
You cannot look at me and say Matt Ryan's not a dang good quarterback.
He's a good quarterback. He's not an elite quarterback.
What is an elite quarterback? It can't be Tom Brady, somebody else, and that's it.
It is people who have been consistently good. Matt Ryan has been consistently
one of those
average.
quarterbacks.
Matt Ryan has been consistently average.
Matt Ryan has been a pretty good quarterback for about 4 or 5 years.
Matt Ryan has been a consistently average quarterback for his entire NFL
So name another elite quarterback other than Tom Brady.
In the league right now?
Yes.
Russell Wilson. Carson Wentz is going to be an elite quarterback.
But I need one right now.
Ben
I don't care about
Russell Wilson, Ben Roethlisberger. Let's see, who else? I'm not going to say Alex Smith because he's been a consistently average quarterback. He just has a great offensive genius with him in the head coach, Andy Reid. Who else is there? There is...
But see, here's the thing. You say Ben Roethlisberger. It was a couple weeks ago you said Ben Roethlisberger may have been a problem. And you said Mike Tomlin may have been a problem. And Ben Roethlisberger is not as good as he used to be. And then Seattle just lost yesterday. And could not put up the points to win. So an elite quarterback doesn't mean much to me.
Elite quarterback makes the difference.
If you put Russell Wilson and Ben Roethlisberger in the same shoes as Eli Manning, they're still not going to win the game. Because they don't have an offensive line, they don't have weapons, and they don't have a defense to back them up. Now, it doesn't matter who's back there.
I'll give you Ben Roethlisberger, but if you put Russell Wilson on that offense, Russell Wilson has the legs to move around and avoid the pressure and be able to make
Russell Wilson could not win yesterday. Why would I think he could beat the Rams with the Giants?
I think
that's the problem I run into.
An elite quarterback is what the Giants need, and
the Giants need somebody who's competent at their job, so they need to get Ben McAdoo the heck out of there before somebody else gets hurt or something else happens. Eli Manning is fine.
Eli Manning
the team, when they're healthy, is fine. However, Ben McAdoo I'm upset because he's thrown Eli Manning under the bus not once, but twice this year.
Eli Manning.
And it's not Eli Manning's fault. I watched the game. It's not his fault.
Eli Manning is a good quarterback, but it's getting the end of his career, and it's time for the Giants to move on.
No, it's time for the Giants to move on for somebody else, and it's Ben McAdoo. That's where I'm going with that.
I think Ben McAdoo's a problem, but I think Eli Manning's also a problem because I don't think he's a quarterback that can lead them.
Eli Manning has a couple of years left in him.
I think
Ben McAdoo needs to go tomorrow.
I think it's time for the Giants to start looking for a new quarterback.
And on top, they drafted Webb, so he's the backup, but I don't think he's the answer right now. The Giants need pieces around Eli Manning, just how Andrew Luck needs pieces around him. And
Aaron Rodgers, that's another elite quarterback. I had to think about it for a minute.
And in breaking news, the Buccaneers shut down Jameis Winston for a couple of weeks.
Well,
because he has a shoulder injury.
Have fun in that league, Panthers and Saints.
But that's going to do it for the show right here.
That's a team that's been surprising is the Saints.
I mean, an offense who's competent, you can win a game.
With a really good quarterback.
Yeah. But guess what? The Saints have always been good. Is Drew Brees an elite quarterback?
You can make the argument that he is an elite quarterback.
Then why were the Saints under 500 last year?
They didn't have a defense.
There you go. He can't fix everything.
But he still put up points last year.
He could put up points, but it doesn't matter. He can't walk into the New York Giants and fix it because he couldn't even fix his own team. So why would he fix the Giants, who are our worst team?
I think an elite quarterback makes that team a lot better.
No. End of story. You need players around Eli Manning, and guess what? Eli Manning can still get the job done. You need to get Ben McAdoo out of there because I don't know what the heck he's doing.
An elite quarterback fixes a lot with any team.
No.
Yes.
He can only fix one side of the ball, but he can't fix everything else. And Eli Manning, I don't care what anybody says, he is still good. He needs his wide receivers back. He needs everything back. He needs an offensive line. I will go buy the offensive line for him then at that point. I don't care. Somebody get that man some help. And with that, we're going to end Extra Point. Thank you guys for listening. same time, same place on the Weagle family of networks, on the Eagle Eye family of networks, WEGL 91.1 FM, online at WEGLFM.com, WEGL 91.1 FM. Eagle Eye Auburn, Tuesdays at noon. You can watch Xtra Point, or guess what? Locally on Eagle Eye TV, Channel 6. For Brooks Childress, I'm Jared Dillard. So long.
There's so many words there.
And we'll see you next week. I got to go get a bottle of water.
This is a place where it only takes a second to imagine your future. Grasp a new concept in class. Inspire a child's curiosity. Discover a real-world solution. Seize an unexpected opportunity.
There goes Davis!
This is where you gain the preparation, confidence, and determination to succeed. This is Auburn.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.